we came back to New York, and they had in the paper, and this is how I got to the Port Authority. They had an ad in there for engineers. And before I went to engineering school, a lot of people tried to discourage me because they said, who would hire you? They don't hire black engineers. But I didn't listen. I wanted to do that type of thing because from my erector set and so forth from way back, I had that desire. And I got flying out of my blood because I had a lot of close calls there, and I did what I wanted to do. And I saw these all wonderful guys when I get out of the service, what they're going to go into. Well, they had an engineering firm there that advertised for engineers. I think the name was DeVinco or something, and I went to them. I didn't know it was a leasing group, so I told them what I wanted, the salary I wanted, and they said, oh, with your experience, you can get more than this. We can give you more, and I couldn't understand that. I didn't realize that they make little money on me by leasing me to someone. So they sent me to the Port Authority, and I thought I was working for the Port Authority. I asked someone, they said, no, this is not the DeVinco, this is the Port Authority. I was assigned to the engineering department, and my boss at that time, who was in charge of the whole civil engineering department, I didn't know at that time that he was a Michigan graduate also. So he clicked with me immediately. 3 months later, after working with him, he liked my analysis of problems and what have you. He said to me, Al, how about working for the Port Authority? I said, you know I can't work for you because I'm leased to you, and as such, I'd have to leave my company for at least 6 months to a year before I'd be eligible to be working for the Port Authority. He said, don't worry about it. He said that to me on Friday. The following Monday, I was working for the Port Authority.
Oh, wow.
So things just happened at that time.
Yes.
I worked at the Port Authority for a long time, but during that period, from 1952 now, is when they hired me, the beginning of 52 to 55, I worked in the civil engineering section. And in the civil engineering section... Did you find
discrimination there?
I beg pardon?
Did you find discrimination in that section?
No, I didn't.
Right,
I didn't,
okay.
because they accepted me for what I knew.
I see, right.
You see, and we worked together, no discrimination whatsoever.
All right.
But I was aware of the fact that there are all Italians around me mostly, and all Irish around me. The whole law department was Irish. I still remember the names of the people there. But they had other people too, don't get me wrong.
But you were only black?
In what capacity, I don't know.
I see.
In what capacity? Engineering department at that time, no. No. At the end of 3 years, well, during that period, I worked on many civil engineering projects. I'm a structural engineer by design,
Right.
and I worked in civil engineering projects, and there are not too many people doing civil engineering work. Civil engineering is everything you see around you: streets, sewers, lights,
Yes.
buildings, the layouts, everything you see, bridges, railroads, that's civil engineering,
Right.
the track work and what have you. So I had extensive experience in civil engineering. From the engineering department, the Port Authority decided they wanted to build piers in New York. They were going to form a brand new department called the Marine Terminals Department, and they asked me if I would become part of that group, the Marine Terminals Planning Engineer, because I had a lot of civil engineering experience with upland area and so forth. I started with them from their beginning, worked there for 7 years, and we built piers from Piers 1 to Piers 11, all along the Brooklyn waterfront, even the piers over in Port Newark for container ships. Around 1960, Rockefeller, his group happened to get together and they decided they want to have a World Trade Center. They invested in an area down on the east side, near the Battery, and they were thinking about having a World Trade Center and maybe moving the stock exchange in that vicinity. But the logistics just didn't work out for that site. It was decided then they would have a World Trade Center uptown on the west side where it was eventually built. They formed then a World Trade Department in 1962, and since I had a lot of civil engineering experience, they asked if I would like to participate in that venture. So they hired me as a World Trade Center planning engineer. Now, I didn't do all the work. There were 4 of us: electrical, mechanical, structural, and civil. A structural engineer is also a civil engineer.
Right.
I am also a structural engineer. But the job was so massive that they had to break it up into categories. And then the civil engineer, I was the first one online to get in there to start doing things, because in all those streets, we had to relocate utilities. And I had to head up a department called the Mayor's Consultant Committee. It was a different name, but it was of that thing. Like you see, the mayor today has his people that meet together.
And at this point, we're going to continue, because we have to continue this story next week, but we're going to continue it right now. But we're going to, as we go into this story with Mr. Burton is going to tell us just what took place now, really, the real stuff that went into that World Trade Center. And so I want you folks to clue us in next week, because you're going to see and hear one of the pioneers of building those two magnificent buildings. And so I hope you join us next week, because this is history. This is history for young boys and girls to know that they can go into engineering and what they have to face. And as you have seen how Mr. Burton had to face so many things. I mean, he set the pace for us. He's the pioneer. So I want you to join us next week to see what took place with Mr. Burton in the World Trade Center. I'll see you the next time.